Lift is directed by F. Gary Gray and stars Kevin Hart. It follows the story of a bunch of art thieves that have to lift 500 million worth of gold from a passenger plane. A very thin plot, I understand, but that's exactly what it is, a very thin movie. If you want to grasp for the movie's quality, the first scene, the cold open of this movie, shows the crew trying to steal an NFT, and then later in the movie they try to make a genuine defense for NFTs, saying that it's real art, which is borderline horrible to hear. There's a lot of things that are incredibly idiotic in this film. In that same scene, there's a bidding war for the NFT, and the people in the room will flip-flop between calling out their numbers to just holding out those signs and the auctioneer assuming it's a higher number. Like, aren't you supposed to always say what number you're bidding on in these things? There's another stupid scene later in the movie where one of the women characters in the crew is moving the plane from side to side, and the bad guys don't know what's happening, even though one of the bad guys is literally right behind her. What I'm getting at is there's a lot of dumb shit in this movie, and it's not the fun type of dumb either. The acting in this movie isn't great. People do what they can, but with the material they're given with, it's not much. Kevin Hart wants to be an action star now for some reason. I guess he's been hanging out with The Rock too much. They have him as an anti-hero because you can't make films about villains anymore, unless you're making Joker. I would have preferred if they made Kevin Hart the villain. I don't think it would have worked, but it would have been different for him. I don't think he works in this role. He feels incredibly miscast. I think in terms of comedy, I smirked at one thing he said, and it was because of the line delivery. Another reason I think they should have had Hart as the villain is because the actual villain is such a nothing character. Reno is incredibly underutilized in this film. He's hyped up as this ruthless villain that will let nothing stand in his way, which includes, of course, killing people. But like, we either never or rarely, barely ever see this happen. I assume this is down to the rating, where it's simply just a PG-13 action movie, but it's still annoying that we don't get an actual threatening villain. The editing in this movie is genuinely awful. It's such an assault on the eyes, and it looks borderline amateurish at times. This is another generic movie that insists its audience is dumb when being shown iconic landmarks of different countries. But while this happens, they have to put a giant fucking text on screen telling you where the characters are. Soundtrack is terrible. They use really bad modern licensed songs, and then the original compositions just sound like shit as well. When it comes to moments on the plane, obviously a lot of CGI had to be used, and the CGI in this movie is really bad. Like, it's really bad. In fairness, they had a budget of 100 million, which, shocker, is considered a bit lower to other movies, since a lot of studios tend to overinflate their budgets. But it's just revolting to look at. At the end of the day, this is just another heist movie that brings absolutely nothing new to the genre. It's incredibly derivative of other heist movies you've seen before, and as the plot continues, it's also incredibly predictable. I didn't have hopes going into this movie, but I also knew nothing about it, so I was hoping that there could have been something fun here. Maybe if it was made by a competent director who still makes good movies and isn't one who is in a period where they used to make good movies and don't anymore, maybe this could have been interesting. But no, I'm giving Lift 1.5 stars. I really didn't like it. Like I said, it's generic, moronic, sometimes it can even be boring. Just felt like a waste of time. I'm glad it was short enough. It's only like an hour 40, so it doesn't exactly drag, but at the same time, it's still such a massive waste of time. And a bigger waste of talent. Just another movie to be shit out in January because everyone involved did not believe in it.